Welcome to Narrate Now. Today I am bringing you a full horror movie recap that will crawl under your skin. So stay till the end, because this story does not let go. The movie opens with Siena sitting alone at a quiet bus stop when an elderly woman sits beside her and starts chatting casually before standing up to leave. And in that exact moment, Siena notices a ghostly figure standing nearby, silently pointing toward the old woman. And before Siena can even react, a speeding truck crashes into the woman, killing her, instantly revealing that Siena has the terrifying ability to see signs of death before it happens, a power that has haunted her life and shattered any sense of normalcy, because every time she sees death coming, she feels helpless, unable to stop it, and burdened by the memory forever. Later, Siena is walking with her friend Wendy when their teacher Naya joins them, and suddenly a strange man interrupts, asking Naya for help, saying Laris told him she could help him, but just then Rio shows up and aggressively drives the man away, warning Naya that the man has been lurking around campus lately, even though Naya claims she does not know him. Naya then speaks to Siena about how life and death are guided by a higher power and can come from both inside and outside a person, and asks if they should fear death if it is destined. But Siena admits she is still terrified, because seeing death feels like a curse that follows her everywhere. Naya gives her a book about the perception of death and asks if she is still taking her medicine from Dr. Feli, and Siena admits she still has nightmares, even with medication, before Naya gets a call from Laris and leaves after promising to talk again. Later outside, Siena notices the mysterious man staring at her and feels deeply uneasy until Wendy suddenly startles her and pulls her away later. That same man is alone in a washroom when he hears an eerie buzzing sound, and after the noise fades, a ghost appears behind him for a split second before vanishing, and as he panics, another entity moves toward him, forcing him to flee. And soon after, Siena and her friends hear chaos outside and find the man standing on the second-floor balcony. And even though Siena feels no sign of death on him, he suddenly his death, shocking everyone later. Siena follows Naya, who leaves in a hurry and confronts her, saying she did not see any death sign on the man and asking if she knew him, but Naya denies it and bitterly asks if Siena would rather not see death at all, and then pushes her away, saying she wants to be alone that night. Siena dreams of the man who died and sees Naya beside his body, and the next day she learns Naya has taken leave to accompany the dead man back to her village because he was from there. Worried, Siena decides to go after her, and when Rio doubts her strange ability, Siena admits she has been seeing signs of death since high school and does not care whether he believes her or not. So Rio and Wendy decide to go with her, and when they reach Rematuk village, they see villagers carrying out Senobati and learn that the village is closed during harvest season because the land is believed to be cursed, even though the rice grown here tastes the best they enter. Anyway, and are met by villagers working the fields. Naya is shocked to see them, and Laris warns them that outsiders are not welcome during the ritual season. Suddenly, a man loses control and falls onto a garden fork, smashing his head on a nail. And what terrifies them most is how calmly the villagers accept it, as if death is normal. Here, Naya reveals she has been trying to convince the villagers that suicide is not the answer, but only Laris supports her, and later Laris invites them to the pre-harvest feast, explaining that being alone makes people more vulnerable to death as night falls. Wendy hears the same eerie buzzing sound that Seno heard before dying, and later she grows distant and disturbed, refusing to join them for the feast. And while Siena and Rio worry, they leave her alone, only to later see Wendy running in terror, being chased by something unseen. When they rush to help, they find her hiding inside Rati's house, and inside they discover Rati's grandson Bimo, lying still with his mouth grotesquely stitched shut. And when Rati arrives, Ramat, the village head, declares the boy death and orders his body taken away, despite Rati screaming that he was just a child. And after the burial, Rati sees demonic hands rising from the ground, as if the land itself is hungry for blood. Wendy later finds a strange mark on her wrist and remembers seeing the same mark on Seno, and she nearly drowns herself after seeing a ghost in the water, while Laris confronts Ramat about the curse. He accuses her and Naya of bringing death with them and mocks her about failing to save her family. And when Laris is later attacked by the ghost, Ramat finds her seemingly cutting her own face and barely saves her as the ritual continues. The villagers celebrate prosperity over mourning the dead, and Rio captures footage of a scarecrow-like entity that only appears through the camera. And soon Rati sees the same entity and is forced to slit her own throat. Wendy breaks down, blaming Siena for dragging them into this hell. And when they try to leave, they realize the village traps them in a loop, no matter how far they run. Ryo later reviews the footage and realizes none of the victims killed themselves. They were being controlled by the same entity, and when it attacks him, Siena saves him just in time. Naya finally confesses the truth about the curse, saying her childhood friend Abdu died here, and her family kept dying even after she left, and she admits she too has seen the woman and heard the buzzing sound. Siena realizes the entity only targets those who desire death, and later meets Rajaman, who explains the village once sacrificed a girl to make the land fertile. And since then, the spirit of the sacrificed child and her mother cursed the land, forcing people to replace crops with lives. When Wendy almost kills herself, Siena confronts the spirit without fear, and the entity disappears. Ramat, realizing the truth, decides to burn the barn and sacrifice the harvest instead of more lives, choosing to let the land die rather than the people. Days later, Siena and her friends return to Jakarta trying to live normally, but when the next harvest season comes, the cycle awakens again, and the curse claims Wendy, showing that even when you escape the land never truly lets you go. And that is the nightmare world of this movie. Thanks for watching Narrate Now. If you love dark folklore, cursed villages, and ghostly horror, hit the like button, subscribe for more terrifying recaps, and comment which cursed movie you want me to break down next.